Singer-songwriter Drew Harrison of the Beatles tribute band, the Sun Kings, is returning to San Francisco's Great American Music Hall to pay tribute to John Lennon.
When I was younger, so much younger than today, never needed anybody's help in any way.
That is one of my favorite songs by the Beatles. The show is Sunday, October 9th, in honor of Lennon's birthday. Joining us this morning is Drew Harrison himself, and you play all the songs.
All the songs.
It's like asking what's your favorite food. Do you have a favorite Beatles song?
I have a song that inspired me,
okay,
which is Dear Prudence off
okay.
the White Album.
Okay.
The White Album was my favorite as a kid.
Why that song? Which I love.
It's you know, it's a 7-year-old thing. Long story short, I was in a recreation school. They were trying to calm me down. You know, all these kids that just got out of sports, and the hippie at the time, his name was Neil, put a record on the White Album. USSR was cool, but Dear Prudence was magical.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and it still is.
Covered by a lot of bands.
Covered by a lot of bands.
Gasia
Yeah, you sure did.
What's your connection to Lennon? What is it? What does
it mean to me? What does he mean to me?
Growing up, listening.
Yeah, well, I was a kid in the '60s, you know, a young child, and so the Beatles were all around everywhere. The music was everywhere. But when I was a teenager, starting in, it was the solo material of John's that really hit me hard for a variety of reasons, personal reasons. I was mentored by the music, the Plastic Ono Band record, the Imagine record, as well as Stevie Wonder records too.
So Lennon solo more than Lennon with the Beatles.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where, you know, your brain starts to open up when you're 11 or 12 years of age. So that, you know, I went back, I heard all the music, the Beatles. I could see A Hard Day's Night even now as a 3-year-old kid, but you don't think about it the way I thought. Do you do
any Sgt. Pepper's?
Well, not in
the show.
Well, actually, yeah, the encore occasionally is a day in the life.
68, right?
For
Sgt. Pepper's, was that 68?
67.
67. Okay.
Summer of Love, baby.
Oh, right.
Let's talk about the fact that your show at the Great American Music Hall this weekend comes right about the time that Lennon would have been turning 76 years old.
Yes.
You and I were talking a moment ago about would he still be performing, or might he have another very active role in society?
I think he would have been involved in a lot of social commentary. I think he would have been an active blogger. Mm-hmm. You know, he loved to write. I mean, it's one of his first things he ever did as a child was at school was this thing called the Mercy Beat, the Daily Howl. He drew these little articles and such. So I mean, he was always a prolific thinker, and he was also a philosopher. It's what makes him such a compelling artist.
Do you think that he and Paul McCartney would be friendly, hanging out?
Friendly? Oh, they were friendly. They were friendly then.
Even after the breakup.
Even after the breakup. Oh yeah, they'd made up, and there's an interview with Tom Schneider. I think he said, you know, Paul and I are fine. All the Beatles are fine. After they'd split up. Yeah. Remember Tom Schneider?
December 8th, 1980.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you were?
I do. Walnut Creek, in front of the, just getting off the D bus to see this gal who worked at the original hot dog place on Bonanza.
And how did you find out?
She came over telling me. She was crying, and I walked in. The radio was going. I'm going, cool, Beatles. And then the announcer came on and said John had died.
Here's why.
And it wrecked me, as it wrecked so many.
When you perform in San Francisco and do the show, do you interact a lot with the audience? Are you telling stories in between the songs?
I do. You know, there's so many. You know, I've read his interviews. I've read a lot of books. You know, I do some anecdotes depending on the song, depending on the mood of the crowd. I encourage some, you know, some interaction. There may be a bit of heckling. You know, the Lennon fact checking.
Is there a younger generation, or do you notice an age difference?
Well, I mean, it's the demographics are baby boomers mostly that come to see it. I mean, people want to. It's nostalgic. It's also a story of his life through his song. These songs, I chose these songs to talk about his life, and it resolves. It resolves with a happy ending. It's not just his assassination. The happy ending is what he realized. And his career from Help on to actually the song Real Love, you can get this little story of what he was about and his soul, I think. So it's my take on it all.
Very cool. Drew Harrison. The show's Sunday, 8 o'clock. We've put more information for you at ktvu.com. Look for it right there in the Web Link Center section of Mornings on 2. You can also find it on the KTVU mobile app. Nice to meet you, Drew.
Thanks so much.
Congratulations.
Thank
Endeavor.
you. Thank
Keeping
you.
the music
Thank
alive.
you.
Love it.
Feel like playing some Beatles now.
I think we
Let's
are.
get the guitars, man.
All
Let's do
right,
it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I hope someday